guys, how are yous?
Thanks for doing this, agreeing to do this interview. We've been very scarce in the UFO community recently, and people have been asking, "Where is Damien? Where is Damien?" So,
Everyone's been asking.
yeah, all the time. So what's been happening? Where have you been?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've been abducted. So sorry, guys. I just arrived back yesterday, and they dropped me off on the top of the house. So
Well, that's a bit better than last time they dropped you.
yeah, well, when you break your back when you do it, it's not a nice thing. But no, I've just been bit of a mix of things. I've been doing keeping to myself a lot. I'm a modest guy, as you guys know. I don't sort of advertise myself out there all the time. I do a lot of my research. I keep it to myself. But I've been concentrating up until about about 4 months ago. I broke my back, so I've sort of been bedridden a bit. So I haven't been able to do too much. But before that, I've been, actually working on composite photography, UFO photography.
Wow.
Which is a type of photography that Olympus uses. Certain Olympus cameras use. A lot of the higher end ones. And so I've set up a rig with two side by side, also with EMF meters, RF detectors, all that sort of stuff, trying to pick up anything, spectrographs, microphones, parabolic microphones, you name it. And so I've set up this psychotic rig, and I'm capturing, well, I was capturing this phenomenon on one camera to begin with, and I was thinking, okay, it could be an anomaly because you can see the planes go by. And what composite photography is, basically it layers picture after picture. It'll take a picture every maybe 2 seconds to 4 seconds, and it'll hold the lens open for 3 to 4 seconds or whatever the case may be. So whatever's traveling through the sky, and what it'll do is any change of light, it will layer and keep that photograph. So when any light comes up, it'll capture it. So as long as it's in that time frame, so you'll see your planes go by, and you can see your aviation lights on the planes, and helicopters. And so I've learnt now to work out, what's what, your meteorites, your satellites, your all that sort of stuff. But then I started noticing other things in photographs, especially in the longer composite photographs, 3.5, 4 hour, 5 hour ones, however long the battery lasts, kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, maybe it's a camera anomaly. Okay, so I thought the only way to dispel that is if I get another camera and put it side by side, and it'll rule out an anomaly in that camera. And so if I pick up the same phenomenon or object in both cameras, it means it's not an anomaly in a single camera. That means that thing is actually in the sky. So this is two different cameras.
Sorry, did you use an infrared camera?
No, not on that. I do have an infrared camera on the Insane rig, but I don't use that as often because it has a very, very small viewing range. And you want something wide so you can see a wide swath of the sky. And a lot of the newer cameras, the mirrorless cameras, you get the Sonys and all that, you can pick up beautiful, night photographs, and they look like daytime almost, and so, and you've got a much wider field of view, so, but the night vision binocular is always good, if you're holding them and you've got your little setup with the recording going and all that sort of stuff. And they're always good. But basically with the composite photography, I started picking up the same objects in both the cameras, So that sort of, for me, ruled out. So I was picking up these very strange. Now, my first ever sighting, as I'm sure you guys know, was when I was 9, and when I was 9, I saw a red light. But sorry, I'm talking about my second sighting when I saw with my brothers a red light getting chased around the sky by a blue light and a greeny Well, I've managed to capture the same phenomenon twice now
Wow.
on two different cameras.
Wow.
On two different cameras. And when I saw it, and they put on a light show up in the sky, and they fly around, and the speeds that they're going at was exactly the same as what we saw when we were kids, my brothers and I, you know. And so it's incredible. So there is something going on up there, and I think that it seems to be that not only are we being closely watched, monitored, but there's also something else that's trying to come in and is getting chased away. And this is something I've noticed, I've seen it getting chased away by other lights or different coloured lights. You know, there's something about the red ones and the orange ones. I'm not sure what it is, but I've had one up close to me, and okay, there's a story I'll tell you guys now. I haven't told anybody this, but just before I started getting quite sick, and before I broke my back, I had an encounter out the front yard. I had what would you call it, a larger than a basketball-sized orb hovering above the tree, a purple blue thing. Now this thing was just sitting there, and it was partly illuminating the tree, but you know, not as bright as what it was. You know, you expect more illumination. And then all of a sudden it flared up, and it got really bright, and then the entire yard, the side of the house, lit up this electrifying blue purple light, only for a split second like this. Anyway, the next morning, like, I went to bed after that. I was like, oh my God, what did I just see? What happened? You know, I just went outside for a second, just looked up at the sky without any cameras or anything. And this is when they know sometimes when you don't have cameras, and it's like, that's when they come down for the closest, you know, like whatever. It's an intelligence and a knowing in them, as I'm sure you guys know, you know, and they seem to know things, where you're going to be, or where you're going to point your camera sometimes. It's you know, the phenomenon is strange. Sorry, going off on a tangent there, but I watched this ball anyway. I went to bed the next morning. I woke up and my eyelashes were burnt off. My face was red with splotches, red splotches all over my face, down my neck. My hair was all singed. My eyebrows had changed color a little bit and were burnt. And as I said, my eyelashes were burnt off, like right down to the skin.
Really?
Right down to the skin. And I looked like hell. I could hardly open my eyes. They were red, and I had like white stuff in the corners of my eyes, and they were stinging, and that lasted for about 3 or 4 days like that. And then after that, I started having seizures, massive migraines. Like I mean, I've had migraines my whole life since I had that red UFO above me. When I was very young, I've had migraines. I'm not blaming them, but I'm just saying it's a bit of a coincidence, you know. Like, it's a bit strange. But in any case, this thing, then this ball of light, it just, after it illuminated, and it sent off this heat, this weird heat. And I could feel this heat. And it hit me like a wind, but it wasn't a wind. I can't explain it. In any case, next morning I looked like hell. So I videoed myself and took pictures of myself, and took pictures of and how I looked, and showed Mel straight away, and I said, you're not going to believe what happened last night, but you know, and so since then, so I've developed some weird thing that the doctors and multiple professors now and specialists we've gone to in all different fields can't work out what is wrong with me. They think that they don't know what's happened. One morning recently, I woke up, and this is just before the seizures started again, and I woke up, and I actually had, you know, I didn't notice anything, but by the end of that day, I started scratching my left side of my arm, a little bit because it was a little bit itchy, and I was like, it's a bit weird. I looked at it and it was getting red, and by that evening, all these massive blisters started appearing on my arm, and they look like a burn, like a major burn, like someone blowtorched all up and down your arm, and yeah, really bad. I'll send you a picture later. You don't want to throw up, but it looks pretty nasty. But,
Christmas photo.
I'll send it on a Chrissy card for you.
Christmas calendar.
I'll put a calendar of the because I took a photo every day of it, so I'll do a calendar of 12 months calendar. But now it's healed. The after they went down, the doctors took biopsies. They did not know how it happened. It wasn't a burn. Some of them thought it was, and then they said no, it can't be. They took biopsies. There's something strange is happening because my doctor's gone strange as well now. He said to me the other day, "You're my sickest patient." That's what my doctor said to me. I mean, imagine hearing that from your doctor at the age of 40, that I'm the sickest. So he's knowing something that I don't know. I'm not sure because he's acting very strange and very different. And we've been friends for 15 years. Like, I know this guy closely. We're friends. We talk and chat and laugh. And things are very strange. So he knows something. But they're trying to work out what's going on with my bones, and whatever this thing was, and I'm not blaming these guys, but whatever the hell, we've had some really bizarre things happening here. And because I've been, laid up in bed a lot, not being able to do much, we've been having and people have been seeing them too, like pens flying from shelves and landing on desks in front of like 3 people across the room. Clicking sounds that I've managed to pick one up, thankfully, finally the other night on my spectrograph, and clicking sounds like right behind your ear, like when you're trying to drift off. Things appearing in the corner, just some really strange stuff, and our electronics, all of our electronics. I'm surprised that this call is still working and my phone is still working in this call because, as you guys know, like I've gone through, I think it's like 19 phones now in 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just insane. And they all just break within. I think it's 8 or something, 8 computers, like about maybe 10 hard drives, and they all die the same way. And it's, I don't know, it's really bizarre. Cameras, you name it. Yeah, anything electrical. But see, Mike Williams thinks that's me, and I'm saying no, it's not me. And I've always tried to point away from myself. I don't see myself as, a UFO attractor or a UFO summoner or a weird. Even though I've had, how should I say, weird and seen really, really bizarre things, I don't think of myself as special in any way. But what I've seen, what I've noticed is that some people see UFO and think that they're a god, and all of a sudden that they've that they can start some big cult or something like this, and it's like, oh my god, what's going on? I don't know if it's because I've seen things since I was younger or whatever, but the whole spiritual element that's come into it, there's a lot of woo woo wah wah involved, and they've joined into the UFO firm because a lot of people realise now the UFOs are real.
Is that the technical term, Damo? Woo woo wah wah?
Well, yeah, that is the technical term. I can't think of any other name without you having to bleep it out. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with giving the people, and this is why I backed off as well, because I was going them all and saying, like, you guys are insane, you're destroying the field of ufology. We know that it's not just nuts and bolts, okay? Any of us who've had experiences know that there's something much deeper nuts and bolts, you know. And so, but a lot of people think I'm just about nuts and bolts, and that's not true. Like I've done everything I can to show that it's not just nuts and bolts. That there is something. I mean, how can something fly through the sky and constantly change shape and morph and change size? And I mean, is that nuts and bolts? I mean, seriously, how can a ball sit at the foot of your bed, bobbing up and down, and then blink out, and you go to sleep, and then you wake up and you freak? What did I just see? What's going on? You know, how's that nuts and bolts? I mean, so there's some strange stuff happening, and I believe that there's some things out there with, I won't, look, I hate the term evil and good and that, but I think that there's some things out there that don't actually have our best interests at heart. And I hate to say that. And I'm the last person to say that. I went to Catholic school and that, and you know, I actually probably, yeah, I won't go there. But
Go on, go there.
yeah, I don't want to go back there. No, I don't want to go back to that school. Definitely not. No, it was a bad school. But yeah, no, I mean, you're entitled. Like what I see now and what I realise is like, instead of trying to fight these people and just and point out that the 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 stupidity or the idiocy of the arguments, or and show that they're fake, and because I know a lot of people in this field do purposefully pull the wool over people's eyes, and I've for the last, you know, like bit of time in bed, been doing a lot of private investigating myself from bed, mind you, but I've done my best. But just based on what I've seen and my own experiences with certain individuals in this field, I know that a lot of them, and I have a feeling about people, and I always have, about people who are real and true and who are sincere inside. And people who aren't seem to know that. I know that they're not, and straight away they're different to me straight away, and it's some weird thing. It's like ask Mel. She'll tell you a few times. Like we've been driving, and you know, down a street, and there's shops everywhere, and there'll be a guy walking like, you know, 100 meters down the road or something, and I'll just get a feeling about him, and I'll say, Mel, watch this guy down, and he's walking away from us, and we're in traffic, you know, way back, and he can't even see us. And I watch this guy. I've got a feeling about it, and this guy just stops. This has happened several times. This guy will stop, turn around, and stare straight at us, you know, like 50 meters away or whatever, and it's like, you know, that thing that we have when you know that someone's looking at you.
Yeah.
And so you turn around and you're like, it's some sort of, so there is something deeper about this, about us humans, about our connection, about everything. So I'm not writing off all the woo woo wah wah stuff, all right? But what I am saying is that's not my side of that's what is popular nowadays, you know. And you know, not stories about a guy seeing lights and stuff, like, so.
But going back to what you were talking about before, with all these strange phenomena occurring around you, I know you said that Mike said it's to do with you, but you know, there are other people who have, say, near-death experiences, for example, or other unusual experiences, out-of-body experiences regularly, where they have paranormal phenomena occurring around them. And there do seem to be people in society who are predisposed to those experiences, and perhaps they're heightened by all these other things that are going on around you. What do you think of that idea?
That's a good possibility. I mean, there does seem to be people who do have some extrasensory capabilities or whatever. I believe that to be true. But I think, and I believe that, especially when it comes to psychics as well, I mean, a lot of them are being called out as frauds and hoaxes, but I know that there's some real people out there. I know that there is something real to it, because myself had an experience the night my grandmother died, she was up the Central Coast, and I was down in Sydney, and it was something 10 o'clock at night. I'm in my room, completely dark. All of a sudden, I just knew that she died, and I sat up in the bed and started crying in the dark and calling her name. I used to call her Nana, and she's Italian. And Nana, I started crying, and then I just went back to sleep again. And the next morning at 7 o'clock, I got a phone call from my uncle saying that your grandmother passed away last night. And I said to him, I know, and I don't know how I knew, but it happened. So how can you explain stuff like that?
So is there a line in your family, like in your family genetic line? Are there some people who are a bit psychic or more tuned in than the rest of us?
No, my family line are all insane. Like, seriously, most of my family are crazy. So, like, literally, like,
I feel your pain,
crazy.
mate.
Thanks, man. Cheers. At least someone understands. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, they're insane. But no, my father, he's great. Like because he's seen the UFOs with me now, and so he knows that it's not just me running around like being a crazy guy going, I've seen this and I've seen that. So he's seen them enough, and up close to with me, and he do to know that it's real and that what I'm saying is real, and that's why he's appeared in my last documentary, Fractured Realities. And he said to me the first few times I asked him, can you appear in the doco? There's no way in the world I'm going to appear, he'd say. And, no, I'm not going to be on television for people to see me. I don't want people to see me. And then I said, Dad, are you interested in the truth or not? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, you're going to be in the documentary. So he said, all right. So he agreed. And so you can't go wrong. If you're telling the truth about what you've seen, you may be wrong, you may be mistaken something for something else or whatever, but if you can't go wrong if you know what you're talking about, if you know that what you've seen is the truth, that's it. You can't go wrong. Like you can't. So like Mel asked me last night, do you ever get nervous before interviews? And I said, or before talks or presentations, and I said no. What? And she said, why? Because she said she would get nervous before interviews or whatever. And I said because I'm telling the truth. Why? So why would you need? Why? Only a person who lies would be nervous. You know what I mean? Doing an interview or doing a whatever. So there's no need to. That's why I love, like, not lately, but because of the situation. But that's why I love talking about this stuff, because it's so incredible. It's real. I know it's real, and I know what I've seen. And to the day I die, I will passionately, defend Mel. I'll defend people around me who've seen what they've seen. People can defend me. I don't care, but I'll defend them. I'll defend anybody, who deserves it, obviously. But there's a lot of people in this field who will take and use and try and suck and get everything out of you that they can, like certain documentary makers and stuff like that. And so you got to be really careful. So I've learned a lot of lessons in the past few years, and most people have great intentions, but also there's people who are in this just to make money. And me, it's not about money.
Mate, can I just ask you, just with regards to that that stuff that you were saying, that you were seeing lights coming into the sky and there were different colours, and that you suspected that there was a little bit of a theme going on there, that there were in fact craft, for want of a better word, coming into the atmosphere and others chasing it away. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't actually mention the word craft, more orbs of light.
All right, yeah, okay.
When you say craft, it goes into people's heads. They think flying saucers, metallic ships, that kind of thing. But these things, they're different. I mean, I've seen them up close in Dunedoo expand in size and change to the size of a house nearly.
Yeah.
and just silently float over home. And I've seen other ones shrink and other ones expand, into like oblong shapes. So the day I left Dunedoo, I was with a friend and we were looking back at the house just as we were about to leave. The UFO flies over the house as we're about to leave, and we're both standing there watching it go. And it was the most unusual UFO I've ever seen. It was a cylinder glowing in the middle, glowing white, and it had protrusions sticking out, like little spikes sticking out from all sides of it. It was absolutely bizarre, and it floated just above the house, and we watched it. And anyway, we watched it. We lost it over the neighbour's house, and then so we sort of ran out onto the street more and to see if we could see it, and it was gone, just disappeared. Like it was there for a second and then gone, just to say maybe goodbye or something. I don't know, but it was like a massive sex toy. Something, it was. That's what it looked like. That's what we were saying on the way. We were like, that was like the weirdest looking thing we've ever seen. It was crazy.
So I guess what I'm getting at, Damo, was you were talking earlier in the interview about the different colours, and there were colours that seemed to be chasing a particular colour away. What do you reckon that is? Because you're talking about good and evil and not having our intentions at heart, and can you expand on that a little bit more for us?
Well, I believe that the universe is full of life, teeming with life. I believe that space is teeming with life, and I believe that also our upper atmosphere is teeming with life. Uh, uh, maybe microbial, whatever the case may be, but there's we're basically in a pond. That's why I see it. And there's these things, especially the red balls, and I've picked them up quite a fair bit now, and they seem to come in. And then whenever the red balls come, you'll get two other balls, the exact same colors, a blue ball and a reddish, sorry, not a reddish, a yellowy green ball will come in and chase this thing away. Now, why, you got to ask yourself, why would they do that? What's about this red ball that needs to be chased away? Like, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, I mean, we're looking at it in human terms, using our limited human capacity brains, looking at something. The way I see it is we're some type of possible experiment, and possibly we've been watched, monitored, and we're at a point of our development of our civilization at the moment where they're coming more and more often. And I believe that they also, I know this sounds crazy, but I believe that this is not our planet like we think it is. This is their planet. The creators, whatever you want to call them. And but I think there's things out there that, if you look at the case of Claris in Brazil, where balls of light and all the different ships and crafts are coming down and zapping and attacking and killing people. Now, and that's a recorded case in Claris in Brazil. Now, if they had our best intentions at heart, now there's other cases around the world like that, very similar cases, but they're not as, frequent, obviously, as. So if they had our best interest at heart, why would they be doing that? Killing, zapping people through their homes and making people sick and stuff like that. So I'm thinking it's more like we're like a cattle to a farmer, and they're the farmers. That's the way I feel. And I feel that these red things that are coming down, they're doing bad things, and that's why they're getting stopped by whatever these other things are. But they're appearing. I mean, I've caught them following aeroplanes as well. But I've got 3.5 years of footage. Basically, I've been sitting on like 4K footage that I don't even want to put out there because I've just lost the interest. And I've got some really good stuff that people would say, "Oh my God, that's pretty great," but I'm not interested in competition. There's too much competition in this field. Everyone just wants to compete with each other and be the best, or something like that. Especially in the Skywatcher part of it, and the people who call themselves UFO hunters. I'm an anomaly amongst them because I've seen them since I was young and whatnot. you know, and so there's a bit of a, not amongst all of them, just some of them, but like a bit of a jealousy or a bit of a something. I don't know what it is. You know, I've never done anything wrong to any of these guys, or you know, or anything like that. But as soon as you start to get known or whatever, it happens to everyone. You have your trolls or whatever the case is. You know, I'm not worried about that. I know in my heart what I've seen, and they can sit on their computer and call you an a-hole, and that did, and then and that's pretty much all they do. They never have comebacks to anything. And you know, I actually, one funny quick story. I actually had a talk up the Blue Mountains with Mike Williams a little while back, and we he did a crypto and I did my UFO thing, and I think Bill Chalker was there. I can't remember, but and this guy who'd been pestering me for so long, and you know, threatening to, you know, just this guy, this absolute nutcase. He came to my talk. I mean, when I say nutcase, I mean, you know, I shouldn't be saying that, but I mean, yeah, if you met the guy, you know what I'm talking about, and if you saw the communication, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he came to my talk, and so I actually walked right up to him, and because I knew who he was from you know, his picture and profile and all that, and I knew who he was, and I walked up to him, so I said, so you know, blah blah blah, and his face went a shade of white that I've never seen, and he freaked out. He absolutely freaked out, and so he changed his tune from wanting to, you know, blah blah blah, and then as soon as you confront these people, they shit themselves, every single one of them, you know. So I mean, it's pretty sad that it's come to that, you know, and we should all be working together, you know, in some way, you know, especially the real people who are, you know, like people like you guys, Barry, Taylor, and Cheryl, and Sifu, and all you guys like the trio of bloody ghost, UFO, and you know, everything trio. You guys are could be the three horsemen. The three horsemen of the apocalypse or something. I don't know, but you can make a great team, you know. But there's a lot of people out there. You can't make assumptions. What I found is you can't make assumptions in this UFO field. As soon as you start making assumptions and you think you know what it is, you know, something will happen to show you that you're wrong. You're dead wrong.
Yes.
And that's just where I'm at the moment after 32 years of reading and seeing these things. That's where I'm at. I can't, like, it pays to basically say nowadays, to write a book and say, you know what this phenomena is. It's this, or it's that, or it's this guy from this planet, or it's a Venusian, or it's this. And that's what because people want answers. But when you don't give people the answers, it's not that you know, you're not as popular, or you're not as interested.
Can I just interrupt there? Can I just go back to what you were talking about, koalas in Brazil, about how you were saying that, and we know about these where there's these strange objects are going over the township and, you know, zapping people, and they're ending up with all these terrible injuries. And you sort of alluded to the idea that there are some that don't have human interest at heart. Do you think that there's some that might? Could there be multiple agendas?
Well, yeah, I do. I believe that there is multiple things at play here, and I believe that whatever happened at Kalaris was a, you know, sort of a one-off. But there's been individual cases around the world as well. Very strange, like the Godfrey case, where the Adamski case, where that gentleman was dropped off on top of the coal heap, and also the week before Zygmunt Adamski, and the week before Godfrey, the constable, he'd seen the UFO hovering above and he was the one who came to that case. You know what I mean? There's cases like that where, you know, and also 1 minute the coal workers were there and there was no one on the pile. The next second there's a body lying on this pile with no steps up to it, no indication how it got there. It was like dropped from the sky. So with weird ointment all over it that the doctors, scientists couldn't explain what it was. So there's your Travis Walton cases, you know, stuff like that. Where was that an accident? What they did to him?
That's
is
how
there
he
a
sees it
law?
these days. Yeah, that's how
He believes. Yeah, I heard that recently that he believes that they actually killed him, and so that's why they took him aboard the craft and to heal him, to bring him back. So I mean that shows some goodness. I mean in their character, I guess. There's some good ones out there. So, but you know, like I just see that we're just a small, tiny little ball floating through this gigantic universe at 5,000 miles an hour, spinning around with this perfect moon just sitting there, hollow moon. I mean, for all those into conspiracies, you know.
I was going into the hollow moon theory.
Yeah. Look, there is something that there's definitely something to that. There's some. Sorry, what was that, mate?
The Death Star.
The Death Star, yeah, exactly. So the old theory is that it was pulled into place and, you know, caused all this disruptions and all this, and old legends talk about, and just like the Death Star caused a lot of destruction. So there you go.
When
But
you were here last time in Brisbane, you spoke to the UFO Research Queensland group. You showed a photo of what almost looked like a humanoid shaped glowing, what would you call it? Just a glowing humanoid shape that had appeared. You took a photo of it. Have you taken any more of those photos?
Light beings. Light beings. Have you, especially around your house? A little birdie may have told me that you might have had that sort of stuff happening at home.
Yeah. Yeah. we've caught some crazy stuff on infrared trail cameras. So I've had a few set up, and especially around me while I sleep, and I've caught things. I don't know what they are, like poles of light, like hovering above me while I sleep. Also, we went through my camera, one of my cameras the other day, the memory card on the computer, and Mel and we came across something was filming me while I was asleep.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know who it was, and she swears it wasn't her.
Bit
And
creepy.
I mean, my door. Yeah, and so that's a bit strange. And like, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of weird things. Probably some things I should go into, but in the what I think I invited something into my life when I was younger. I had a Ouija board session with a friend of mine who was Uruguayan, and his family were very spiritual. And this was years ago when we were at school, you know, year 10, I think it was. And we had the rosary beads, middle, and the Bible, and all this. The picture of his dead grandmother, who he wanted to contact, and he wanted us to contact. And so we held hands, and said, "Be quiet, you know, and don't say anything, and just concentrate." And so we did. And I didn't. I was sort of like laughing and giggling a little bit. I thought it was, you know, like a big wow. This is woo woo wah wah. There you go. And, see, that's multiple times I've used that word now, so I can't use it again. Too many times. But yeah, basically within about a minute, he had a German Shepherd out the back, and the German Shepherd started going absolutely crazy, scratching his back door and barking. And he had an aviary full of birds, and the birds started going haywire. And I mean, I've never heard like birds that loud just going crazy. And the room changed. You could feel it. It was bizarre. It was like everything went silent in the room, even though you could hear the noise from outside. Everything froze. It was like it was a very bizarre experience, and all of a sudden I could feel something going to my arm, and it went up my arm, and you could see the goosebumps on my arm, all the way, and it went over my shoulder, down my other arm, and into my friend's hand. And he told me he could see it. He said that I can see it going through you.
Wow.
And I'm like, and then I was not giggling anymore. I was freaking out, right? And I watched it go into his arm and do the same thing, go up his arm, and the goosebumps on his arm, and it went down his other arm, and the goosebumps would disappear as it would go, and then that was it. And all the while, the birds and dogs are still going crazy out the back and all this sort of stuff. The room went cold, and I mean cold. It was this dramatic, and it was a hot day. It was very bizarre. It was like someone just turned on the air conditioner straight away,
Wow.
And so, okay, that's not the freaky part. Now,
there's more.
there's always more. Okay.
Trying to work that out with you.
It's me you're talking to here. So, and okay, now the weirdest part, okay, if that's not all weird, now the weirdest part, right, was because he's saying don't break hands. So, and I'm like, no, stuff this, and I broke hands with him, okay, because I don't listen to people, I do my own thing. Anyway, as that happened, there was a fly that was like buzzing around the circle above us. The fly just dropped dead right next to the picture of his grandmother, like dead. It flapped its wings a couple of times, just died right there and then, right in the middle of the circle, just as the second I broke hands with him. So, and then the dogs went quiet. The room went back to being hot again, like literally hot. It was like a 30-something degree day out west here. It was strange. It was a bizarre experience. So since then, I felt like I've had something strange that's watched me, seen me. I'm sure Mel's told you guys a couple of things, but yeah, I don't know what these things are, but psychics say that they see them behind me. Other people say they see aliens behind me. Other people say they see the council of 9 aliens behind me, and so it's like, what? I don't see this. I don't see them. Where are they? Like, I want to get them to talk to me and tell me what the hell's going on, but no, none of them ever can. So it's hard to know who to believe in this field and who's full of it and who's just jumping on the bandwagon. And so it's, my thing, I've decided to concentrate and put my head down until I broke my back, of course, and then just concentrate on my own work and release a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And soon I'm going to release, or when I can, because my computer's died again, I'm going to release Fractured Realities 2. And I'd love to have you guys in either that or part 3, but it's been set back, unfortunately. I was going to have it out in February this year, but I've just had so much happen, and it's just been pretty crazy. And I wanted to also incorporate the composite photography work that I've been doing, and these light ships that I've been capturing, and what they're doing, and some really, really bizarre things happening up there in the sky. So
sounds great. Well, when you eventually heal, fix your back, fix your bones. Yes, very soon. And we'll all wish you a speedy recovery, that's for sure. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, we'd love to host you again in Brisbane for the the premiere of that as well. That would be fantastic.
I would love to come, and I would be absolutely honoured, guys. That would be a very special thing, and I would love to come along. Definitely, most definitely. I'm up for that, and but yeah, just depends on Mother Nature, and at the moment for me. So if it sticks its thumb up at me, then yeah, I'll be up in Queensland. If it sticks its thumb down, then maybe not so. So, but yeah. So
Well,
I mean,
next time, doesn't it?
I'll do my best to be positive, and and I think all the people out there who've been who've seen my work or whatever, who've gotten something positive from it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Thank you guys for all your support, and you guys for all your support too that you give me over the years. You've been one of my staunchest allies, and I appreciate that so much. It's really difficult and it's a lonely life. Anyone who lives this life would know that. It's appreciate it. I really do. So, and this is going to be a Friday 13th special.
Yes,
it
it's
is.
it's the Bay FM Strange Encounters
yeah.
Christmas special. So you're our special surprise guest.
No way. The special freak guest. Excellent.
I know about that. I tell you what, mate, there's a lot of people out there that would be so rapt to be hearing from you, especially this time of year, and just to know that you're okay and that you're still out there working away in the background. It's just fantastic to see and hear from you again.
Yeah, and people are always talking about your work.
Appreciate it.
Meetings and always asking, have we heard from you? And looking forward to hopefully will we get back to Brisbane again? And you've got a big fan club out here. Damien, what your work does, it validates other people's experiences, and you can never underestimate that. And that's why we do the show, and and interview people like yourself to put it out there, so that other people don't feel alone, and and people who are even slightly interested in the subject actually become more interested in the subject because you've been gathering footage and talking about your experiences, and it's just really important. It's a part of that creative process of our own evolution. It's important to have people who steer that.
Sure. I agree. And I mean, if it wasn't for people like you guys, people like me wouldn't have a voice either. So you guys are just as important, if not more important than you guys are the ones who are getting this out there. I mean, I'm doing my work and my research and whatnot, but I mean, that's pretty much the limit. I don't really advertise. I don't really, I'm so kind of a modest kind of guy. I keep to myself as much as possible and try not to harass people.
Maybe you can head over to our Strange Encounters Downunder Facebook page, because we've got a lot of information there.
You know what? I will.
Good.
I'll do that. I'll do that after this interview. I'll head over there and
Strange
I'll like
Encounters
it.
Down Under.
And feel free to troll Bazza every time you see him online as well.
I will. I was actually thinking of it just now before you said it. So if you're out there, get ready for it. It's coming.
He's coming back in. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's on, folks. It's on. Here we go.
It's all happening.
Oh dear.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, get ready for it.
Well, Damien, we wish you well. We wish you a speedy recovery.
Love to Mel as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and
I appreciate it.
We really want you to know that you really do have a big fan club out here, and people just wanting to know what you're seeing, what you're filming. They need to know what's going on, because that information belongs to everybody. It's public knowledge. It's you film it, you have the experiences, but this is like information that the Australian public, if not the global public, just needs to know about. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I intend on getting as much more work that people haven't seen out there as much as I can. And so I thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. It's lovely to hear, and it's just beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Mate, I was going to say, make sure you and Mel have a make sure you and Mel have a very, very Merry Christmas too, hey?
Yep.
All the best to you.
Oh, likewise, guys. Likewise, and to everyone else out there who's listening, and Barry, get ready. Christmas time's coming. Enjoy your Christmas, and also the trolling. Don't forget about that. And there he is. He's back. But guys, have a great Christmas. Have also a freaky, scary Friday the 13th, and enjoy yourself. And thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
champion.
I'll
Thank you
send
so much.
I'll send you a comb for Christmas present.
Thank you. I'll send you a wig. How's that?
This is just the start of it. Just the start, mate.
I told you it's the coffee, mate. I'm sorry.